drove from Santa Cruz.
And how long did that take?
I don't know, like an hour and a half or something.
Wow.
I did pick up some durian on the way.
You picked up some durian.
Oh, wait, let's save all of it. Let's.
I thought we started.
Yeah,
I started in the car on the way here.
That's such a...
It's said that your real life begins where your comfort zone ends. Well, it's about to get real as we have radically authentic conversations to help you thrive in your personal and professional life while navigating the twists and turns of being human. Buckle up, because This Might Get Uncomfortable starts right now with Jason Robel and Whitney Lauritsen.
Red leather, yellow leather, red vegan leather, yellow vegan leather.
Toy boat.
6 seashells on a seashore, swimming sailingly.
Do you know what that version of theater that I had of that was? The sixth sheiks. 6 sheep are sick. The 6th sheiks, 6 sheep are sick.
The 6th sheik, the 6
Wow.
sheiks,
6
sheep are sick.
Oh my God.
Oh,
and it was the
man.
most, and in theater, I felt like I was a cunning linguist. Like I had very, like my tongue and my mouth and my whole...
You did your exercises.
I was orally fixated as a thespian.
Whoa.
But the 6th sheiks, 6 sheep are sick it was abominable. I remember my theater teacher gave that to me and I was like, you are a masochist and I must be too for accepting this challenge.
She knew that you could handle it. She saw your mouth move and she said, let me give that beautiful mouth something to chew on. And you're still chewing, and I really appreciate that.
But my question to you is, with your Persian heritage, being of the blood of the sheiks and the Sufis and the great wise men of the Persian lineage, is it easier for you to say that because of the Persian blood in your tongue?
It is easier for me to feel it and say it. No, it's not. I grew up in this culture. Actually, my mom, my mother, my mom was born in Iran. She's actually Iraqi, born in Iran. It's a long story. It's another podcast. And when she learned English, she learned it English, like proper UK English.
Oh, really?
Not that she had that accent, but there's just different grammar. And then the first place she moved here in America was Texas. She couldn't understand anything anyone was saying. Somehow in the translation, she'll swap words. Like I grew up and we would be in a rush to get to school, and my mom would say, "Hurry up, the ring is gonna bell," because and they're so endearing. I love that. And she'll still like do some cute slips where she lets you know, hey, I'm not from around here.
Aww.
It's good. So can I say that maybe in Farsi? You find that for me in Farsi, and I'll see if we can play with our mouths with that.
Do you speak Farsi?
Very, very little. Just mostly bad words.
Mostly. Isn't that funny that I feel that's such a common thing is when you start to pick up pieces of a new language, it's generally the swear words?
It's greetings, like, hello, how are you? Maybe where's the bathroom? And your mother's a fucking cunt. Please put your...
Whoa.
Yeah, but they don't tell you. Your cousins don't tell you that's what they're saying. They're saying, this is how you ask for a cookie.
And how do you say it?
I don't speak these things.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between cookie and cunt, and
Whoa.
it's
I feel uncomfortable. Speaking of uncomfortable, that's an uncomfortable word.
You gotta spend some time in New Zealand.
Why is that?
It's
Word's
just
not a big deal.
Nah, you're like, it's a term of endearment.
Is it
really? Like,
It is,
in
like,
all seriousness.
Like your mom's a great cunt.
No,
You can say
it's
that.
a term of endearment?
Yeah, it's
You're
like
not
a
kidding
descriptive. There's like a pull your own weight kind of thing. It's really loose. I didn't know we were gonna jump in so fast, guys.
Wow, this is what we do on this
Well,
podcast.
So Justin...
We might have lost some listeners. They're like,
we
I'm
might have, but the intention is that we here on This Might Get Uncomfortable go there because hence the name of it. And I often feel, in terms of the energy behind words, I often feel that words themselves are obviously our attempt to try and describe reality, but intrinsically I feel that language is neutral. but the collective agreement of what those words mean, or perhaps the reflection of what the individual believes they mean, give it energy and power. But I strongly believe that one can deliver a word. Osho has a great YouTube video about this, about the word fuck, and all of the connotations and meanings behind the word fuck, and the energy and inflection and purpose and intention of which you use that word can drastically change the meaning of it. So I feel like whether we're using these curse words and whether people decide to unsubscribe or what they will do, to me, language is just a very neutral thing. And it's how we wield it and the meaning we assign to it and the energy with which we deliver that word that colors it to me. But I think it's neutral, honestly.
Speaking of neutral, too, our intention is to release this episode on Valentine's Day.
I knew it.
Ask the master chocolatier for an conversation. Caught myself. And when are we going to release it? Well, how obvious. I mean, it is a little obvious, but...
Well, slightly obvious, but it wasn't fully intentional. I was just going through the schedule trying to figure out what episodes were going to come out when and when we need to submit them to the editor. And then I said to Jason, hey, we have a few... I almost said it myself. We have a few podcast guests coming up. Which one should be on Valentine's Day? Because it's a Friday, and that's when we do our guest episodes. And we both thought that you should be the Valentine's Day episode. But... interestingly enough, on this topic of words, we also have a lot of holidays. We have really big holidays that the entire world celebrates, right? We have some holidays that are national.
Or regional.
Yep. And then we have a bunch of random, almost every single day there's a quote-unquote holiday, like National Popcorn Day. Actually, I just pulled that out of my ass, but I swear to God, I'm pretty sure that today, that the day that we're recording is National Popcorn Day.
This is actually
almost 100% sure.
It's a great marketing
right.
tool because you can there's a database you can submit to create your own holiday.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that this afternoon because tomorrow, I'm liking the curviness of this conversation. Tomorrow is the 20th.
Right, January 20th.
January 20th.
2020.
And I just want to say, I confirmed, we're recording on January 19th, and I guess it is National Popcorn Day today.
We might get fact-checked on that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I had popcorn last night to prepare. That's actually what I had for dinner last night. It just happens sometimes.
Dinner, popcorn for dinner.
Okay, so,
impressive.
So tomorrow, as of the day that we're recording, is January 20th.
Which is a special day.
Which is Martin Luther King Day?
Well, just that it's a 20. I actually celebrate, so for me personally,
yeah.
I celebrate the 20th of every month as a holiday / holy day. So my birthday is June 20th, which is awesome because, a lot of times when you're born on a specific day, there's a resonance to it.
Yes.
So that's all well and good. Summer solstice coming into that last day of spring.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's a holiday embedded in my day of birth.
Right.
I was also born on Father's Day, which is cool. My wife, Zoe, she was born on 3/20, so March 20th.
And I'm March 21st.
So you're, that's right. I remember this. So you're also an equinoxer. An equinoxer. Not, you may go to the gym equinox. No. They may sponsor this podcast.
That'd be cool.
We are open to this.
I like equinox.
We're open to that equinox.
So there's that instant like, oh, you're 20 also. We had this whole... right?
When you met.
When we met.
Yeah.
And then we had a child who was born on September 20th.
Oh my goodness.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know this.
He's on the autumn equinox.
Were you like, you better push him out on the 20th?
It was more like a disbelief.
You weren't just the vagina whisperer, weren't you? You're like, baby, come on.
I have my ways. No, it was such a funny thing because during that day when Zoe started going into labor, there was a little bit of it was the day before she started going to labor, and there was a little disbelief of like, well, the odds of you having our baby on the 20th are pretty good, unless it takes way long or way short. So he was born on the 20th, so we've just decided as a family and as the Yes family, one of our Yes holidays, or actually 12 of our Yes holidays, every 20th we do something special.
Okay, we should just dive right into what the Yes family means.
Oh, goody.
Because we don't really do proper introductions when we have people on the podcast, because we don't want it to feel like this this interview, structured thing, but we'd love some background for the listener. Talk about what yes means to you personally and professionally.
Yeah, what is the philosophy and ethos of yes?
The word itself, yes, everyone has a feeling about. I think it's a really powerful word. We use it similar to what we're saying with the intention behind things, behind words specifically. The word yes has this opening, this permission. It has also this contrast with the word no, which is contracting. I like to say that yes turns doors into doorways. I like to say that yes is a word that we use. It's a 3-letter word that we use to describe this immense, almost indescribable sensation, kind of like saying God or yes, or it's also one of the things, I think the top 3 things that people say when they're orgasming. Yeah, so there's like a lot of power to
Wait, is
this.
that what you mentioned too? You mentioned, oh God, you mentioned yes. What's the third thing? You said top 3.
Fuck.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
yes, and fuck. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, and Zoe's a sexologist. Well, she got her degree in sexology. I don't know that she's claimed the title sexologist. I'm a yesologist. I study what happens when we say yes.
I love that. I feel like that needs to be the title of this episode.
The yesologist.
Being a yesologist, yeah.
There's the study of yes is such a deep inquiry into how we make decisions. And this is really where I've been coming. I've been doing a bunch of research on the neuroscience of the word yes and about words in general, actually words specifically. And one of the things that I learned recently was that we make 35,000 decisions a day. Wow. Obviously,
no
like
we're so
95% of them are totally in the subconscious.
Right.
Which is, we could come back to the intention of words and the way that the subconscious perceives those too. Which is like, that's a whole nother curious conundrum of conversation and language falling short or really missing the mark. So we make all these decisions, 35,000 decisions, and each of them really comes down to a yes or a no. I mean, either we're gonna turn left or we're gonna do this, yes or no. I'm gonna pick up the fork or I'm gonna pick up the spoon. There's all these yes nos, and I've just been really zooming deep into the micro yes, because it's actually really easy to, your fuck yes, your fuck no. There's some gray area in between, which is where a lot of my curiosity lies.
Yeah.
And then in general, clear cancels delete, not in general. What I'm wanting to do in the field of yesology, and as I share this, is for people to be able to find their yes, because that yes is your flow. When you know your yes and you're able to make the consistent decisions one after the next, there's a momentum that happens and synchronicity drops in, your timing is on point, people are attracted, there's a magnetism. It's a very, very powerful sensation to be on your yes flow.
Do you think that's part of the reason anxiety, maybe one of the causes, or maybe decisions are becoming harder and harder? I don't know, based on your research, there has been such a big increase in anxiety in our culture.
Option paralysis.
Right. Yeah.
Big time. We just have so many options these days.
Right.
So it's more important than ever to know where you're rooted and to know your pillars of how you make decisions and who you are through that decision,
and
seeing
we have
consequences.
this fear of missing out, right?
I don't have that.
So
sometimes
people,
I
yes.
have that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have that.
I was
like,
wow.
The new title of the episode is The Cure for FOMO.
Yeah.
Like,
right. I know there's so many good episode titles.
Well,
How are you going to pick?
I think this brings up an interesting set of questions, because in making choices, we are narrowing our field of vision, and we are intrinsically narrowing the available options. If we choose, say, a monogamous romantic relationship, for instance, we are, by saying yes to that person and that structure, automatically not saying yes or saying no. I'm curious your take on that, to the other available options by making that choice. So is part of declaring one's yes for some people the fear of, am I making the wrong decision by saying no to these other options? Like, in your analysis of the psychology behind this,
Jason, I just have to pause. It is so cute. You're getting so into this, and every time you're touching your glasses like a professor.
I also noticed that. And then I noticed your
so
glasses,
good.
and I was listening to the words you were saying, and I was thinking, damn, those are some nice glasses.
Thank
I
you,
like the
Justin.
frames. And I was really listening. I was really following.
I was really
tracking.
listening, but man, you kept bringing so much attention to your
It's like,
glasses.
no,
And I
it's
was like,
subconscious.
Gesticulation also has a lot to do with language. And we're in a podcast. So as you're listening to this,
well, we will have a video
we're having a
too.
conversation.
We are having a
Just
conversation.
happens that it's being recorded and
yes,
shared.
exactly.
That's right.
Yes, so they could watch the video, which will be in the show notes at wellevatr.com, WELLEVATR. Just look for the podcast show notes so you can watch the video and see Jason's amazing gestures because he looks like he's a professor.
Now, thank you, my friends, for pointing out that subconscious tick of me adjusting my glasses.
And not to make you feel self-conscious. It's actually
no.
like,
I said subconscious, not
okay,
self-conscious. Like
got it.
pointing out because I wasn't realizing it was a subconscious
Yeah,
thing.
I let
had
you
no
keep doing it.
awareness.
Don't stop.
Please don't stop.
We like this more
That must be the
studious
fourth
version of you.
thing. The fourth thing people say during sex. Don't
Don't
stop.
stop.
Don't
Yeah.
stop. Don't stop.
That's that's.
So to condense the original question, in your psychological analysis of the nature of yes, is one of the biggest fears, and I'm curious what your observation is around people's fears of this offshoot of FOMO of if I say yes to this and drop my anchor, so to speak, by making a decision, I'm afraid that I've, quote, made the wrong decision or that I'm shutting all these other doors by intrinsically saying yes to this one thing. What is your feeling on that?
This sounds like the definition or that's the practical definition of hesitation.
Go on.
So I actually take this same concept. When we say yes to something, we're saying no to a finite number, but a very large number of different options and opportunities.
Yes.
And through a linear cognitive space, we would think, oh, I'm saying no to all these things, that's bad. Or I'm losing my options, and options are freedom. And, not but, and that to me means that yes that you're declaring is greater than a million no's. The impact of this, saying yes to this, gets the power and the momentum of the boundary of all of that stuff that could be factoring into option paralysis, all of these things, like even in the monogamy space. And I've had all kinds of experiences, both polyamorous and monogamous. And my wife and I, right now, are monogamous, heterosexual, and committed partners. Which was my Burning Man name. The last time we went together, it was just monogamous, heterosexual, committed relationship. Just keeps it clear.
Wow.
And unambiguous, yeah.
And unambiguous. But that is such a service, that's such a beautiful thing to offer people, where you're saying, this is my boundary. And within the yes, so we're saying yes to one thing. We're saying then no to millions of things. That puts a lot of weight and power on that yes. And within that yes, we can have it has its own infinity of possibility.
Infinity of possibility.
Another title possibility for
that's
the
Wow.
So just to take that meta and that kind of high level and bring it into the practicality. When we're making decisions with fear, motivated by fear, we're pretty much asking for a karmic lesson. We're not making it super, when there's fear embedded in it, I'm making this because I don't want this thing to happen, or I'm afraid this is going to happen, so I'm going to kind of hedge my bets and make an insurance bet.
Yes.
There's going to be a little grit to sandpaper through. Generally, and from what I've observed, even in my own life. And I'm pretty aware these days of when I have the fear come in. And that just might mean not ready to make this decision yet, if it's a big enough decision.
But not making a decision is also a decision.
Well,
right?
There's a decision to gather more information. There's no right way to do this. This is a study. There's no destination on the road of yes, on the yes road. There's no destination so much as just a self-inquiry.
Did you read Chandra Rhimes' book, A Year of Yes?
I audiobook a lot.
Me too. That's how I listened to it, actually.
I listened to about 25 minutes of it, and I was totally, I just didn't relate at all. And it just could have been who I am and where I am. But I don't have an obstacle to yes.
As she does, which was the whole point of her book.
Like for me, I'm like, a year of yes, that's like, I'm gonna do a cleanse and then I'm gonna go back to some like,
right.
There's a little bit of I'm making a definitive line. I'm gonna do this radical thing called saying yes. And actually, I think she was just saying yes to get her away from saying no so much.
Right. It was like building a new habit for herself.
And it also, we can put a flag in the sand here and say saying yes or being a yesologist means we actually say no a lot.
Right.
Because you need to protect your yes.
Yep.
The fidelity of that yes is kind of all we have in our decision currency.
Jason, every time I hear the word decisions these days, I think of that TikTok video you made with your dog Bella.
Oh, the decision song.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to play that for you.
Show notes.
We'll
the show
put that
notes
in the
too.
show notes, wellevator.com. It's a very weird video. Have you gotten into TikTok at all, Justin?
I have only observed the TikTok.
And
then questioned, do I need to do this? Do I need to learn the TikTok? And I was like, so far the decision would be a fear-based decision. Like, I'm going to miss out on something. I need to do this. And because I'm like, I don't know that TikTok is my best venue for the message that I have. I mean, I like long form better anyways.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting too. I think a lot about that when it comes to social media, is there's so much fear of missing out. If I don't post on social media, this came up in our episode with Paige, which we'll link to in the show notes if you haven't listened to that yet. And Paige was talking about this fear of taking a break from social media. Mm-hmm. She's afraid to stop and take a rest.
Right, because then the algorithm will be skewed, and then she'll have to start over and build momentum again, and people will forget about you, and there's a litany of fears that can arise from that type of thinking.
That sounds heavy.
I think it's really heavy, and I think it again, that's another thing that seems to contribute to anxiety, the need, which Jason and I talk about hustle a lot, and how there's this hustle culture. Like, you always have to go, and you should only sleep 4 hours a night if you want to succeed, and a lot of different mentalities on what it means to be successful, or what does it mean to get your message out, what does it mean to work hard, how to outwork each other, all these different things that come up a lot for entrepreneurs. And I think that the three of us are in this interesting place where we have each been entrepreneurial for 10 plus years, and there's a whole new wave of entrepreneurship happening with especially teenagers and 20-year-olds who are now recognizing how much power they have and starting businesses based on social media and online businesses. And so I feel like the hustle mindset is perhaps being reinforced a lot, because people feel like if they don't continuously produce, and they're on all these different platforms, they will lose relevancy. Mm-hmm. And so it's like this not only consumption, this overconsumption of digital media, but the constant creation that people are making, and maybe not getting in touch with their whys and the roots of why they feel like they need to do that. And my ongoing question is, do you really need to do all of that? Is it necessary?
If I may jump on this, because Justin, you are using cacao and your creative genius with Yes Cacao as the minister of chocolate to spread the message of yes and the power of yes through cacao. So, as building on Whitney's question, as an entrepreneur who is making a physical consumable product with a very specific intention, like an ultra clear intention behind it, what has that push and pull been like for you to have a physical consumable product, to want to obviously get it into as many mouths and hearts and minds as possible? I mean, I've obviously, Whitney and I have observed it from afar, but not having actually been in the chocolate factory with you. As a piggyback on her question, my God, what has that journey been like? What is it like to have something you want to physically get into people's bodies? And the challenges, and the hopes, and the dreams, and the sorrows, and I mean, I have no idea what it's like to be a chocolate maker. I can only observe in awe of what you are doing and have done. And I know that's a loaded question, but what the hell has that been like to have taken this journey and this mission on for yourself? What is that like?
Especially in the midst of a changing time where we have access to food like never before, right? I mean, anybody can get practically anything from all around the world. And then we have social media, which gives us a whole new marketing medium, but also creates a lot more decisions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions embedded in there. So I guess, what's it like to be the minister of chocolate? Maybe that's a simpler.
In a nutshell. That was a lot of questions, and it was great to track my...
It's a conversation. So,
yeah, we had...
Let's discuss
We're
it.
curious.
I'm also curious, actually. You know, I've been doing this for a decade, and it's came through... It is a truly organic outcropping of I love cacao, I love people, I love herbs, teas, flowers, adaptogens before that was even like a term, right? In doing an inquiry, I was waking up every morning and saying, I only do what I love. I only do what I love. And that evolved into, I only do what serves God's love, or the love that is going to be felt through as many ripples of humans as possible. And it became this expansive journey of just following my yes and creating these different formulas and putting them into cacao and then sharing them, most of it being done in person, one-to-one, farmers markets, making custom batches for people, which to this day is still probably the funnest part of Yes Cacao, was sitting down with someone for an hour, figuring out what's going on in their life, be it a health challenge or a goal, triathlon, a TED Talk, writing a book, whatever it might be. And then creating a 30-day or some time period, 21 or 27-day chocolate protocol that was basically, here are your herbs, you need to take them. You might not take them if they're just in pills or if they're powder or something, but if I put them in a chocolate bar, you're gonna eat them every day.
Yep.
Genius.
Which
I love that. And something that I've been reflecting as this last decade came to a close, the last season of fall was a lot of really good, really deep, really uncomfortable reflection and introspection. And I had gotten away, and all along the way telling myself I don't want to move away from the thing that really is at the core of my mission here, and that is the person-to-person piece. And I am a chocolate maker who has not really been commercially making my own chocolate for some years now, because too many hats. Like, if I'm going to be doing my social media, and I'm going to be doing my accounting, and I'm going to be doing our promotions and our marketing and managing stores, and then bringing people on at different parts to help, but also not doing that traditional way of entrepreneurialism these days where you raise a chunk of capital and then deploy a plan. This was because it started so organic. It was like, okay, well, some money came in, I'm going to do this thing, and definitely way more difficult to do it in that way because there's the unpredictability of when chunks come in to launch forward and to move forward. And so as I was filling out the last few days of 2019, I was like, man, I want to bring this so much closer. I want to bring it so just deeper in, and so we're here in San Francisco because the Fancy Food Show is going on. In a couple months, there's the Expo West show, and I love these events for the people connection. But when I think about this food system, which is broken, deeply, deeply broken, where I want to connect with a human being with this super special product that I'm not just making as a commodity. I'm really making this as deeply, to be felt as deeply in all of your sensational wonders of your palate, and then beyond. Treating your brain like it actually wants to have neuroplasticity. I'm treating your joints like let's add some flexibility, some cartilage, anti-inflammatory responses. And so I was just like, I don't want to sell my product in stores. I just don't. I mean, some stores, yes, we have great relationships with a lot of our stores we're in.
Do you have a favorite store?
Ooh.
Or just one? It doesn't have to be the best one in your opinion, but what comes to your mind when you tune into your heart?
I live in Santa Cruz, and so in Santa Cruz, I really dig the vibe at Staff of Life.
Oh, I love Staff of Life.
And I used to go to Staff of Life when I went to school in Santa Cruz 20 years ago.
You're a banana slug.
I'm a banana slug, and I collect banana
slugs.
slugs.
What does that mean?
That's the school mascot at UCSC. Banana slugs. Made probably most famous by John Travolta wearing the shirt in Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
A close second, the viral video on YouTube, Slug Sex.
Link to that in the show notes.
Have you seen? It's like a National Geographic style super macro lens, and it's these two slugs or banana slugs. I'm pretty sure they're banana slugs, like making love and just all over each other. And their whole body turns into a sexual organ. It's a really.
Wow.
I'm so proud to be a banana slug.
Wow. Maybe that should be the
title. That's an intro curriculum when you enroll at UCSC. How to turn your entire body into a sexual organ.
I'm pretty sure
money well spent. Money well spent.
In the, what do you call it when you, like before you even start school, they give you like there's the welcome packet, there's the manual on how to turn your body into a sexual organ. I
wonder that school's so popular.
Just to pull it back to the favorite store thing, I am, at least in Northern California, Good Earth is such a phenomenal offering. And everything in their deli.
Where's that?
Fairfax?
Marin. There's 2 locations, one in Mill Valley and one in Fairfax.
Oh, yes. So if we go, it's funny because Mill Valley keeps coming up in our consciousness lately.
Mill Valley.
Yeah, there's a repetition with Mill Valley.
Yep.
That's a whole other side conversation.
We're meant to go there and maybe record another podcast there. Okay, so.
Everything organic in that store.
Yeah.
And to put another depthful layer is, I have been, so we've had on our package 99% organic for a long time, for several years. And we don't have the USDA organic seal because they won't give it to us.
Why?
They won't give it to us.
Why?
So we use, some of the ingredients that we use are rare and exotic, like Blue Lotus, or actually Shilajit did come into the USDA organic purview.
Okay.
But Gynostema tea, no organic, not there. It's not on the GRAS list. It's like some weird loophole where, which is it's a tea that's drunk by millions of people. It's typically grown in either China or Thailand. Things grown in Thailand, I think it's pretty difficult to get organic certification there unless you bring a U.S. certifier there, which can be pretty pricey, sometimes 20-25 grand.
My goodness.
And then we just use a lot of herbs and teas, and there were a handful of them. Pine pollen also, which for whatever reason the USDA, their organization or the representatives we were working with kept on getting it confused with bee pollen, and they're like, why aren't you using organic? Because it's available. And I'm like, no. There's no one. It's a pine pollen is a wild foraged thing. Generally, you're actually in a pine forest and you're shaking off the pollen. So for whatever reason, and months and so much conversation, and they won't give us the USDA organic. So it's super frustrating because if I wanted to be in stores, this is part of the reason. A lot of time, a buyer is really looking for what are those certifications that are going to help make it easier for their customer to purchase. If I'm not going to be there at the aisle talking to every single person.
Right. So like Air One is one of those stores that's super strict. Yeah.
And it's like I'm saying, no, everything in here is meticulously selected. And it's not a marketing thing where we're just saying we get the best quality. Like, I've been in this for over a decade. sifting through and sorting through. And sometimes a company gets purchased by another company and their source changes. And my tongue is the one that figures it out before I hear. And I'm like, what? That is different. Then something's different. And so, you know, in that way, the social media venue is so, that is what is available as a tool and as a platform to connect directly with human beings. So we've actually pulled back. We're actually in a very different place for Yes Cacao. We're opening a Yes shop in Santa Cruz, which I'm super stoked about.
Wait, what does that mean?
I just got super excited. Oh my God.
Does Yes shop mean like more than chocolate?
Like more than chocolate. It's a whole
yes everything.
It's your yes life. What are the things that you want to have in there? You know, from books to beautiful works of art, paintings, some food items. I'll be making stuff all the time that I'll just be sharing, because I think when someone comes into the Yes shop, there's got to be a full sensory experience. I'll have like a picnic bench in the middle, and you got like your animal spirit cards and tarot cards. We're doing deep dives, and it's my office. So like the front half of it is a retail, and the back half is the office. So that's opening. Tentatively, the day that we have selected to open it is Friday the 7th of February.
Oh, I was about to say the 20th. I was like, it's going to be the 20th, right?
This soon?
Yeah, I've been working on it for a while.
Wait, is this your first public announcement of this?
Correct.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, it had that energy. When you said it, I freaked out, not only because I would be there, but also I'm like, I think he's telling like the public this for the first time.
Wow.
I think I perspired a little bit when I said it too. So that's a good sign.
No, tis the nature of the podcast.
Yeah.
You got a little
Justin, this is
uncomfortable.
fantastic.
Wow.
My God.
So I was thinking about this for a while. I was actually looking for an office in Santa Cruz. I would go, my favorite coffee shop in Santa Cruz,
It's called?
It's called the 11th Hour. There's nothing like
Love
this.
that name.
It's not just about the coffee. The coffee's phenomenal. But the culture in this space, the vibe is so effortlessly curated that you just want to hang out there. So I'd go there all the time, and they roast their coffee there. When Braden, who I met him at this gathering up in the woods, birthday party for another fellow food entrepreneur, he told me that he was opening a coffee shop in Santa Cruz. And I was like, dude, there's like, I don't know, 10 coffee shops. There's like 4 or 5 within a quarter mile of where you're opening it. And I just didn't say anything right away. I was listening to how he was describing it, and in the description, I was like, I'm gonna come check this place out. And I went there and I was like, hey guys, I'm looking for an office space. I'd love it to be downtown somewhere around here. And he's like, hey Steve, the guitar shop guy, who's been there for 8 years, is moving out of his office. You should be our neighbor. So I'm right next door to my favorite coffee shop in Santa Cruz, which I'm super stoked
Wow.
I'm very excited to come back to Santa Cruz.
I guess we're doing a road trip.
Santa Cruz road trip.
And Mill Valley.
You told me you wanted to come up and have some quality experiences.
I
so
did.
we're going to create that for you.
It's QT.
Yes.
It's actually all for J-Ro.
I mean, it's all... I needed some QT. I want to circle back to cacao for a second, because obviously this Yes shop is going to be an extension of your philosophy and your ethos. But out of all the, let's just call it delivery mechanisms, as cacao is often referred to as a delivery mechanism for these super herbs, these adaptogens, these really healthy functional ingredients, out of all the delivery mechanisms you could have picked, why that? Why that for nourishing people's bodies and minds? Why that for the philosophy? Why cacao? Out of all the things you could have chosen, you could have chosen a million different food products to deliver these herbs, these adaptogens, and this philosophy of yes. Why that? Why cacao?
Well, appropriate that this podcast is coming out on Valentine's Day, which is a day that a lot of people associate with chocolate.
Yes.
But that's not the only holiday. We're going to actually shelf this right back to holidays. Every holiday between Halloween and Easter,
yes.
chocolate is a centerpiece of the holiday.
Yep.
Wow.
So there's good momentum there. Additionally, I love chocolate. For me, it wasn't even like I was choosing chocolate as the delivery system. For me, I was already chosen by chocolate.
Ooh.
And, because as soon as Lisa Gutierrez said, one night we're hanging out and she's like, I'm making chocolate for my girlfriend's birthday party. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What did you say? You're making chocolate? Well, you could just make chocolate? What? Tell me. When I was growing up, my mom would go get those molds at Michael's.
Oh, yes.
And then those like microwavable bags of chocolate.
Yep.
I couldn't even now, but
yeah.
anyways, she would melt them and then we'd pour the molds and I would give them to my teachers, and it was like how my mom would keep me in good graces with my school system.
That's so sweet.
And so I've had chocolate like embedded, and I was potty trained in M&Ms. It was like part of my life has been this chocolate thing. And so when Lisa says this to me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. We made chocolate that night. I was like, that was so easy. I'm going to make chocolate every day. And being a man of my word, I basically was like, okay, I'm just going to keep making chocolate. And now eating raw chocolate, that was something that I had not experienced before. And then once that moved into the availability of wild harvested raw cacao, then there was no turning back. Even to this day, like, I have yet to find a food that impacts me holistically, not just through the pleasure of the sensation of pleasure, but also just the wake up, the feeling, the relax in my body, but also I'm awake. I have been eating probably for the last 10 years, about a half a pound of chocolate a day. So it's about 150 pounds of chocolate a year.
But see, I imagine that many of our listeners understand this, but just in case they don't, a lot of people think of chocolate as like a junk food. A sweet treat, a dessert. Yes, a candy. And so maybe to them they're thinking, what do you mean? And then there's the same kind of on a different spectrum as people that didn't know what chocolate looks like in a pod. Mm-hmm. They've never seen a cacao pod. They don't even know what cacao means versus chocolate powder versus or cocoa powder versus cacao, and people that have never had cacao nibs before and expect it to taste like this sweet treat. Mm-hmm. I think chocolate is so interesting because there's a lot of misconceptions around it, right?
It's a lot of you.
When you're saying that you eat chocolate, you mean like you're eating cacao, or you're eating like the actual chocolate product because you make it? Because
I'm mostly eating botanical chocolate, which is a term that I coined. And actually, a couple of days ago, I have the botanical chocolate on my Google, search reminders or whatever.
Yeah. Alerts,
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you, Whitney. And there's a chocolate festival in Japan actually happening today on Valentine's Day, because this is when everyone's listening to this. As soon as the podcast comes out, as soon as it releases, you have your notifications on for this podcast because it's good, it's juicy. You kind of need this in your life.
Just like chocolate.
Exactly. Their main thing, their super exciting showcase, the festival in Osaka is botanical chocolate. Whoa. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because I trademarked that term like some years ago. It's happening.
Okay.
I don't know how it's related, except for the consciousness.
How do you, Justin, define botanical chocolate? What does that mean to you?
Great, and then I can actually use that as a thread to go in to what Whitney was saying. So botanical chocolate is using chocolate as a delivery system for botanicals. So that could be super herbs, teas, essential oils, medicinal mushrooms, such that it's not for flavor only. It has to go beyond the flavor addition, because lavender chocolate is lovely, but are we using the lavender for functionality? Actually, it's about intention and what the chocolate is being used for. So like language, our intention really comes through. Botanical chocolate has to have a functional direction or some type of benefit that's coming through beyond what a normal chocolate would be offering.
Got it.
It's not for flavor only. So oftentimes that means having a lot more of something, of turmeric, for example. And we're not putting a little bit of turmeric to color it. And we're not putting a little bit of turmeric so we can say there's turmeric in the bar. We're putting like 800 milligrams of 95% curcumin turmeric, which is like a fatty serving, so that your body actually registers, oh, this is an anti-inflammation response. Mm-hmm. Oh, that feels nice. It's not a mental thing. It's got to be actually physically felt. Not everyone is sensitive in that same way. But chocolate versus cacao really helps with sensitivity and allowing your body to discern and learn what is a yes and what is a no. So when we eat chocolate that's a commodity, mm-hmm. there's a numbing effect. There's kind of this hum. The way I kind of picture it is every single tree, every plant is the same. They're exchangeable. It's like this big herd of homogeny. But cacao, and at least the way that I like to embrace cacao, which is through wild harvested cacao, every single tree has a unique character with its ecosystem informing it, with certain bugs and organisms all feeding in, and certain types of bees. There's such an intelligence to nature. When we're eating food that contributes to our connectedness to that intelligence, it feels really different. So, one of my favorite Guru Singh adages or quotes is, and I'm waiting for yours, are we eating for 2 inches of our tongue, or are we eating for the 6 feet of our body?
That's phenomenal.
I can almost guarantee you that's going to become one of Jason's go-to adages.
Oh, that will now become part of my adage cosmology.
Because you get to say tongue and mouth, and it's so good.
But it's so wonderful because what that's alluding to, or what that elicits in me, is eating for more than just the transitory pleasure of the moment. Although we respect pleasure, and pleasure is important, as people are withholding pleasure a lot in our society. That's a whole nother subject.
It's an important gateway.
And there is a lot more than just the momentary pleasure of consuming the thing. It's thinking about, how is this contributing to my longevity, my contentment, building my body on a cellular level, my neurotransmitters. I mean, to me, there's so much weight to that quote, because it's thinking, how is this consuming this thing feeding me so that I can continue my mission on this planet? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just, there's a lot of weight, and that's a dense, beautiful adage you used. Thank you.
That's
it resonates.
Per mission, right? That's mission. Permission for mission. When you give someone permission, you're saying, I'm for your mission, which I feel like everything that I'm creating, be it the shop or everything that's more appropriately being created through me, and I'm being inspired to push through, has to have that deep permission vibe. Mm-hmm. I want people to really feel safe to be themselves, which is missing in our culture right now. People, wanting to conform, ignoring what's their truth. Oftentimes,
I feel like a lot of people don't want to conform, but are afraid.
Or it's like conforming to the non-conforming narrative.
Yeah, exactly. There's like some weird, because I observed this a lot. This is actually one of the reasons I really like TikTok, for example, is it's really interesting because you get to observe a lot of people. There's so many users on TikTok, and it's a huge opportunity for a psychological study, especially of people between the ages of 12 to 23 or something, right?
It's like our age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and then there's people all ages and demographics and locations on TikTok, but there's kind of this like culture on there, and it does seem like there's a lot of people that really want to break out and not conform, but in a way, as you're saying, sometimes when you are so committed to not conforming, then you're committed to, it's kind of like you're swinging so far in the opposite direction, you might as well be conforming because you're just conforming to something else, if that makes sense, right? It's like there's this interesting human desire to find your own way, but sometimes they're not really finding your own way. You're you're kind of getting lost and thinking that you're finding your own way, but it's really just what everybody else is doing, if that makes sense.
This brings up a massive other kind of offshoot.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely witnessed this, and I feel like I know where Jason's going to go with it.
It's almost like, boy, there's a million versions of this. I'm going to get a bunch of tattoos and piercings and be in a punk rock band and be a hardcore straight edge vegan and do suspension, and I'm into BDSM, and I'm going to adopt all these animals. I'm describing myself right now, Jesus Christ. And I'm going to ride motorcycle, whatever it is. Like, I'm going to do all this radical stuff, quote radical stuff. And then wait, there's other like punk rock, BDSM motorcycle riding. I'm not the only one. And then it begs the question of this idea of unified field theory, or a consciousness that exists beyond our bodies that people are tapping into, that I'm not the only one who's had this idea. And there are other people into what I'm into. So how radical am I being if other people have this exact idea and are living a very similar life and are passionate about the same things? Mm-hmm. So this quest for nonconformity finds me in, quote, conformity, because I'm finding all of these people into the same, quote, weird, freaky stuff that I'm into, and it's not so weird and freaky because they're into it too. Because maybe we're all tapping into this universal consciousness, God consciousness, the noosphere as McKenna described it, like whatever you want to call it, where it's like, are there actually any original ideas, or is anything actually that radical? That was a massive rant.
Well, what is radical to you?
And it's also like the word mainstream, right?
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not sure that there's anything all that radical anymore. I mean, that...
Or is it just that we're exposed? I mean, I think this is the other thing that happens with social media, is we're exposed to so many other people. We realize that we're not that unique after all. Mm-hmm. In certain ways, right? It all depends how you define your uniqueness, right? Of course, we all have our individual elements, but to Jason's point, maybe, all those things you just listed out, that combination of lifestyle is not as unique as you thought, because now you can see there's a Facebook group of a few thousand people that are into that too. We didn't have that a few years, maybe a few years ago. But a decade ago, right?
It's
perhaps
still
we
relatively aware
new.
That's the thing.
That's what I mean.
People being into these unique, radical proclivities. I'm the only one in my small town doing this thing. And then the world opens up and we're like, oh, there's actually a lot more people than I would have possibly even imagined being into this thing.
I'm the token radical person in my micro community. And there's a lot of nuance to this, because when I think about what is radical, when I think about being unique, first of all, there's that question of what is the drive to be unique, which I believe you guys did cover in another podcast. Yes.
We did. He's listening, yes.
Yes,
wow, this is
wow. I research. I know that podcasters research their interviewees, but I want to also research my podcasters.
But in full disclosure, since we don't do interviews, we don't do research, we like to just open it up and have these honest conversation, or these authentic conversations.
I wanted to know how much envelope I could push here.
Okay, well, we want you to push as far as you want.
I don't know that you want me to push all the way, and we only have, this is a time-sensitive thing.
Yes.
I do really want to comment on this space of nuance and relational currency, and our relationship to the character that we're creating, and that contrast in who we were a moment ago and who we are becoming. That is very unique. Our relationships with each other are very unique. I think it's is it Jordan Harbinger? What's his name? Art of Charm guy. He has. I haven't listened to a lot of his content, but one nugget that came through my consciousness was that our networks are like our fingerprints. Nobody has the network that you have in the way that you have it. The way that you hold your relationships actually speaks a lot to your uniqueness. And to really put a cherry on top of this, and the necessity for us to really find our true voice and to be these purpose-driven, like purpose / being in our pure pose, right, where we're really ourselves contributing, because we each have unique missions to be adding to this beautiful pyramid here. I think we're missing some tools. Our culture has been missing some tools that are super important, because we have the social media tools, we have technology as tools, But one of the things that's, I'm glad, now budding into more mainstream conversation is psychedelics. And that piece of what psychedelics can do for emotional intelligence, for shifting our perspectives. It's not, yes, you can get high and have an escapism amazing time, but we're talking about feeding the 6 feet of your body. Same concept, same holistic relationship. And when we use psychedelics for the purpose of growth and for knowing thyself, that's going to be a huge shift. When the permission goes out, where it's decriminalized and beyond that, recognized for its therapeutic benefits, which it definitely has been. At this point, there's plenty of studies, and there's a big movement pushing through to bring psychedelic therapies and psychedelic and microdosing and bringing that into just mental health, like the same way you would go get a juice at the juice bar, being able to have access to tuned in frequencies. That is coming, and coming fast. And that's a really exciting piece that I think is going to be, at least where chocolate is involved, is going to be a great delivery system for that. And I may or may not be working on a project with that.
Oh. Well, it's really interesting just to see what's happened over the past year or two with CBD. I mean, we're actually drinking a CBD water, and now there's like all these sparkling CBD waters. And there's CBD in chocolates and CBD in all the coffees and on and on and on, and that's so new and it happened so fast.
And it also happened. Hopefully, we learn things as we launch these substances into the legal sphere. Things that were illegal that then go through gray market and then become legal, because there's a lot of education around CBD that has not really been. You have to dig pretty hard to find out that, there's a big difference between having CBD derived from hemp and the benefits you'd get from that versus the benefits you would get from a CBD derived from a cannabis plant.
Right.
That has maybe even just the smallest amount of THC in it. Not that it's going to be psychoactive, but the pain relief benefits, there's no comparing the two. You can have a 500 milligram hemp drink, and you can have a 25 milligram hemp that's derived from cannabis, or CBD that's derived from cannabis, and there's no difference in that. I mean, not there's no difference, there's a huge difference in that.
Yes.
So the education around that, which I think is also begging for people to step up in teaching the curriculum and organizing models for emotional intelligence, such that we have permission to get uncomfortable, to feel safe, to have permission. And that's also, I can see that's in a long form, that's the direction that Yes and Yesology goes, is about teaching us to be fluid in our emotional intelligence and how to also relate that to our intellectual intelligence. So I'll tell you guys, just I'm gonna call myself out on this. I started 2020 with a 10-day fast, and that 10-day fast solidified so much of this momentum for this next decade. I highly recommend a monitored, or ease into it if you need to, but that was a really potent clarifier of how all these things are coming together and what my role is in it. So it's been really fun. Also, people are addicted to food, and you don't know that until you don't eat food for 10 days.
Oh, it's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Cleanses are teach you a lot about yourself, and I love that you are on such a journey to not only learn about yourself, but then to support other people in learning about themselves. And that's the basis of this podcast, is really talking about what we're going through and hoping that it inspires somebody else to think differently and to try something else out and to seek out some new information. And it's really amazing to chat with you and hear all of these things. It seemed like even Jason didn't know about you. And how long have you guys known each other?
I met Justin at a Cinco de Mayo party in 2009 at the house he lived at in the Hollywood Hills. And I brought some raw chocolate brownies.
With the syrup,
and he was making his chocolate. and we I mean, it was one of those meetings that it was an instant bond. One of those, in my opinion, rare instances where you're like, oh, this human being is going to be in my life, and here we are, almost 11 years later. And I think that this mission that we talk about, it reminds me of a Ram Dass quote.
Here it comes.
Giving love to Ram Dass, right? Who recently left his body, Richard Alpert. That we're all just walking each other home. Mm-hmm. And that the resources and wisdom you have, and Whitney and I, and dear listeners, obviously, if you're attracted to this podcast and Justin's wonderful work in Yesology, there's a similar mission in sharing the resources, the wisdom, and the love to walk each other home. Mm-hmm. I really deeply believe that. And I also feel that I strongly feel there needs to be a part 2. Mm-hmm. That coming up to Santa Cruz to celebrate the opening.
What if the part 2 is recorded in...
Yeah. We're actually...
I already know what she's going to say.
We're going to have a podcast set up at the shop. So come bring your equipment and we'll have an equipment.
Great.
We'll have wires crossed everywhere. It'll
Excellent.
Be
because there's tentacles and tangential streams that I have placeholders in my brain that I want to jump down even more rabbit holes with you. But I think the perfect opportunity is a road trip back to Santa Cruz.
Yep.
Do you have a name for the establishment?
Well, the sign on the front of the shop says Yes Cacao. It has since we moved in there. I think just keeping it Yes Cacao. It's a really beloved brand.
Yeah.
And we'll have Yes Cacao. We're taking a little bit of a left turn after investing buku dollars in branding, but not having raised enough money to see the branding all the way through into the marketplace. It's just kind of the timing of how it happened, which is a whole nother lesson set of being an entrepreneur and wanting to leap forward, but also needing to keep feet planted, also knowing that promises are not real until the money's in the bank. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't always,
yep.
So we can plan, but until it's in there. So I basically have this fully branded, epic unveil of Yes Cacao that's just sitting on a shelf waiting. And then what we're doing, and I need this grassroots for my soul, and I need to be able to touch people and talk to people directly, is I'm actually going all the way back, which is not back, which is forward, and starting to do farmers markets and having this
amazing
shop so I can be doing basically demos, doing festivals.
Remember we saw you at Lightning in a Bottle years ago?
Uh-huh, that was
2013.
Oh,
yep.
Baby.
Yep.
So Back to the Future.
We're doing a Back to the Future tour.
Excellent.
And the bars are literally gonna be in like white envelopes with stamps on them. Like I'm just taking it all the way to as simple of its essence as possible.
As long as you keep that Karma Owl flavor.
Yeah, the golden chocolate. Now called Brain Power.
Now called Brain Power.
I feel a little sad.
The owl's still there.
Okay, good. As long as the owl's there.
It's upgraded.
That's important.
The owl has like a whole coat, its wing opens and there's this whole Merkaba and this whole thing just beaming out.
Okay.
It's happening.
As long as the owl's there, good.
Well, Mr. Justin Polgar, the Minister of
Mr.
Chocolate.
Jason Rebel, the one and only.
Thank you for being with
Ms.
us.
Whitney Lauritsen. Such a delicious pleasure.
It's such an auspicious meeting with you always, and part 2 will be coming soon. For more on this incredible human being and his chocolate exploits and his yesology, you can check out the show notes at wellevator.com, WELLEVATR.com. Yes Cacao, the website, Yes Cacao on all of the social media. Get this man's chocolate, put it in your mouth, experience it in your being, because it is a transformative experience, and I do not use that terminology lightly. So for more of our exploits, we are on the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok at Wellevator, WELLEVATR.
Lots of dancing. Maybe we can reshare Jason's decisions. I want to play that for you. Let's just play that on camera so we can, as we're recording.
We're doing a meta.
Yeah.
Are we really going to do that right now?
Because I love this.
Meta.
It's a really good way to end.
And also, while you're pulling it up, I want to do I'm going to give an invitation out to our listeners here.
Please do.
The power of the word yes. I want I want so badly and so goodly and so deeply for you to feel and register the power of the word yes. And something that I did for several years was when I woke up in the morning, the very first word that I opened my eyes and I just said, yes. So I invite you, listeners, to program that into the start of your day and just see how saying yes at the very front bumper of your day shifts the way your brain kickstarts. So open your day with a yes.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to start that in the morning.
Yeah.
In this very hotel room.
Yep. I'm doing it tomorrow too. I already decided. Okay, speaking of making decisions, you ready for wackiness? I hope I didn't build this up too much, but the more I watch this, the weirder it gets and the more delightful it becomes.
Even better. Plug me in.
Decisions.
That is an amazing analogy for what all of us are going through all the time.
First single on TikTok.
Every time I hear the word decisions, I think of that little video and the decision song.
I make a lot of jingles, J-Po.
A lot of
hear jingles.
That's such a good genre for you.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I feel like I could own the jingle genre.
Mm-hmm.
I do. 2020, I feel like I'm going to extend those vines into that.
Can you, okay.
A jingle for Yes Cacao?
Let's
Done.
do it right now.
Right now?
Yep, on the spot.
If you wake up and you got a frown, better get your body some of Yes Cacao. Whether you're in past or in the future, better get your ass right here and now. Yes Cacao, Yes Cacao, baby hit a dough and a plug in it now. Yes Cacao, Yes Cacao. Yes. I literally just pulled that square out of my ass.
I felt the vibration of creativity.
Yep.
I have an epidermal experience
The
right
look
now.
on your face
I'm
was
glad
amazing.
to exfoliate you with my tune.
But
You jaw-dropped me. Very good.
when you do your next version, you have to like integrate the owl and all the little characters.
No, I feel I will work on something.
We
There's
have plenty of opportunity to play.
many.
Excellent.
Yes.
Dual J, I love you.
I love you, Dual J.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and getting out of your comfort zone with us today. For show notes and more high-performance resources to help you thrive, go to wellevator.com. That's WELLEVATR.com.
Well, J
and J.
J-Ro, J-Po.
J-Ro, J-Po. Dual J.
There's J Feld, but he's not part of the Dual J.
No, because he doesn't end on an O.
No.
It's J-Po, J-Ro. It's...
Yeah, he has his own. He has to find his own thing.
He's in
Guatemala.
He's in Guatemala. That was so, dude. We could have gone for literally hours.
I love this.
The camera's still recording?
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, great.
So I have Danny Katz and I we actually just recorded.